What do you watch besides this show?
Well, The Rifleman.
These are 6 most funny Drunk Tonight Show jokes and moments where guests turn the drunk routines into one of the most beloved comedy formats in television history.
He says, well, how'd you happen to know about that? He said, my dog came home this morning and told me.
None of it has been replicated since. If you grew up watching Carson, you already know that desk was more than a piece of furniture.
You ain't gonna spoil my rest.
Because it doubled as a stage where some of the greatest comedic minds of the 20th century practiced what one of them called the most reliable bit in show business, which was pretending to be just a little bit too tipsy to function. Number 1. Foster Brooks brings the lovable Lush to Carson's desk.
He said that one of these elephants broke loose from a parade and got into a neighbor lady's backyard and got into her garden. She had never seen an elephant before in all of her life. So she reached down, she picked up the telephone, and she called the police and said there's a great big animal in my backyard.
62 years old by the time he made that unforgettable Tonight Show appearance dated January 1st, 1975. Brooks had spent decades as a Louisville radio announcer and a Buffalo Broadcasting Hall of Famer before finally landing national fame.
He said, what kind of an animal is it? She said, I don't know. All I can tell you is it has 2 tails. He said, two tails? And she said, yes, and he's pulling out my cabbages with one of them. I said, well, what in the world is he doing with them? She said, you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
The waiting paid off. But before that, here is the strange thing about Foster Brooks, the man whose entire fame was built on playing what publicists politely called the lovable Lush. He was stone cold sober every single time he did it.
Such a convincing drunk. By observing and taking on the mannerisms of people?
I tell a lot of stories.
Back in 1964, according to his New York Times obituary, Brooks gave up drinking entirely on a $10 bet with a friend who insisted he could not quit. And from that moment forward, he never touched another drop for the rest of his life.
Railroad track. I recall this one particular day, just as this last elephant got on the track, the fastest train that ever came through Louisville came through at that same time, and you never saw such a mess in all your life.
His daughter Terry put it bluntly when she spoke to reporters years later, saying audiences refused to believe it. People always assumed her father must have had at least one cocktail before walking on stage, and learning that he had none at all came as a shock to almost everyone. The act fooled them that completely.
Cost that railway company $4,300,000. The only one elephant, but they pulled the tail off of 18 others.
The character itself was not even planned out in advance. According to a profile by the Shriners, Brooks invented it on the spot in 1969 at a charity golf tournament in North Carolina when game show host Dennis James offered him $50 to tell a few jokes.
But one night someone asked me if I would do a performance in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I'll try. And I had in mind doing something that I had done years and years ago on the Arthur Godfrey Talent Scout show. And I just happened to think of my dad and how beautifully he told a story in that character.
Walking up to the microphone, Brooks remembered his father playing a tipsy character to entertain the 8 Brooks brothers in the family kitchen. And on a whim, he gave that bit a try. The room exploded with laughter. And from that night forward, he never told a joke without the persona again.
Well, the Buffalo Zoo had just received a shipment of the largest gorilla ever captured in captivity. That didn't even sound right over here.
His set that night included a bizarre story about his sister-in-law meeting a primate at the Buffalo Zoo.
And my sister-in-law and her husband went to see the gorilla. They were standing there, and they were looking at it, and all of a sudden the gorilla spotted my sister-in-law, and he just couldn't take his eyes off her.
A tall tale about a Louisville circus parade and an ill-timed locomotive, and a closing bit about his father's improbably intelligent Boston bulldog named Buster.
All of a sudden he went, and my brother-in-law nudged her, and he said, I think he kind of goes for you. And she said, don't be silly.
Each routine set up its punchline with such patient slurring and squinting that by the time he landed the joke, Carson and the studio audience had already been laughing for a full 30 seconds.
And with that, the gorilla grabbed a couple of the bars and pulled them real far, reached out and grabbed my sister-in-law and pulled her in a cage and started pulling her clothes off of her and hugging her and kissing her. She screamed to her husband, what am I supposed to do? He said, tell him you got a headache.
Structure made it work. Brooks treated his character with genuine dignity, and his Lush always stayed confused yet polite throughout every single routine, no matter how absurd the premise.
Home, and he said, Roy, do you know that's the smartest dog that ever lived? He said, what are you talking about? He said, he can tell time. He said, oh, come on, he can't tell time. He said, watch him at 11 o'clock. He goes to bed every night at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock came, turned around, went upstairs, and went to bed. And Roy Fisher said, by George, that's really something.
That gentleness explains why audiences kept inviting him back to perform. Eventually, onto more than a dozen Dean Martin celebrity roasts.
I said, that's not all that dog does, and I'll show you that later. And he said, what's that? He said, he also talks. Now, Roy Fisher said, oh, well, I know about that. Now, Dad didn't know where to go from there, you know. And he says, well, how'd you happen to know about that? He said, my dog came home this morning and told me.
Number 2. Ed McMahon comes back from lunch, a little tuned up.
Now, as you know, the San Diego Zoo is one of the finest zoos in the world, and we've had this young lady on the show very often the past, I guess, 7 or 8 years. She's been appearing with us.
9 years. About 9 years.
Right, yeah.
Out of every Tonight Show appearance ever broadcast, this episode stands completely alone. According to the Carson Estate's own Vault Series notes on the official Johnny Carson website, the broadcast of April 8th, 1977 is, quote, the only show where Ed may have had 1 or 2 martinis too many at lunch.
Several plus several would be about 9.
You said 7 or 8.
No, I said, no, I didn't say 7 or 8. I said several.
Then you said 7 or 8, and I said
Did
it's
I?
9. Yes.
9, good, thank you.
Across 3 decades on the show, jokes about Ed McMahon's drinking ran as a constant gag, though every one of those moments was a performance. Henry Bushkin, who served as Carson's longtime attorney and wrote a 2013 memoir about his years inside the inner circle, has confirmed that Ed and Johnny's lunches at Sardi's during the New York years had become legendary.
Some of the animals you had as babies are now 10 years old.
That would be about right.
On air, though, the gag stayed controlled in every single broadcast. April 8th, 1977 broke that pattern entirely because Ed was not acting. The topic Johnny tried to discuss involved the upcoming guest, Joan Embry from the San Diego Zoo, who happened to be no stranger to that desk.
Remember the animals that did something funny on your tie?
Yes,
Those little lions and little baby lions were 1 year old.
that's right.
They are now treacherous and ferocious 10-year-old animals.
Okay.
Speaking with interviewer Steve Marinucci in 2016, Embry confirmed she made nearly 70 appearances with Carson over the years and brought roughly 500 animals onto that stage.
Joan Embry is here tonight.
And she's now 32.
That's right.
On this particular night, Carson could not even get to the introduction. The conversation kept tangling up in a debate over how long Joan had been doing the show, and Ed's responses came out a little slower than usual.
And you really think you're fooling everybody, don't you?
No.
And she
I'm
also...
just here to do my best to help you.
I know that. And she does her 3 horse shows a day. Did you know that? At the animal park.
Boy,
What?
what an exciting idea.
Johnny started gently questioning his sidekick's ability to hold a train of thought together. And at one point, with the kind of delicate cruelty only Carson could pull off, he suggested that what Ed might really need was a quick rest before the show drifted any further away from him.
Would you like an army cot or something? Maybe just to kind of catch up on a little little nappy poo? Just might snap you right out of it.
The line came out so perfectly timed, delivered with such fake sympathy that the audience erupted, and Johnny himself nearly broke character before he could move on. What sold the moment was how playful Carson stayed throughout.
I'm the only one who went down to see Joan. Doc has never seen her. You've never seen her. I went to the wild animal
It's
farm.
all right, it's all right. It's okay.
But you're upsetting me. You're
No,
upsetting me.
I don't upset you.
I went down, Joan, and I
I know you
Ronan.
did. That's all right.
Even though Ed had genuinely been overserved by the estate's own account, Johnny treated the entire desk segment like the bit had always been the bit.
Don't say. No.
What?
I know her. I went down and.
Oh, I know you did. I know you went down there. And
I held a baby gorilla.
I couldn't go with you that week. You held a baby gorilla. Good, all right.
Eventually, Joan Embery got her introduction. The animals came out one by one, and the show went on. Number 3, Dean Martin and the Hangnail That Was Not.
There's going to be at least 110 people watching you tonight because I'm going to Frank's house. You know, it's his party.
It's his 60th birthday.
And we're all going to get in his bed and watch it.
Dean Martin's appearances on Carson rank among the most rewatched clips on the official Johnny Carson channel today, and the reason comes down to chemistry.
Oh, at least, you know, New York's got the finest, but we've got the sweetest out here. That's policemen. Forget it.
Nobody else came close. The two of them shared a comedic timing nobody could match, and their improvisation could turn a single piece of furniture into an entire sketch.
Who's the next one to come out?
Did you?
I know you're going to ask me a question.
I'm going to ask
Bernie.
you a question.
Well, you go ahead, Bernie.
Did you get Frank something special for his 60th birthday? Did you
Yeah.
get him a nice gift?
But how do you wrap up glands?
December 12th, 1975 happened to be Frank Sinatra's 60th birthday. Sinatra had been born on December 12th, 1915, and Dean mentioned on air that he was heading straight from Carson's studio to the celebration after taping wrapped.
How is it going, Ed? Beautiful.
You don't,
No, I quit that.
Before that exit, though, he delivered one of the funniest physical bits of his entire television career. The setup was tiny. Johnny dipped his finger in Dean Martin's drink and claimed to have developed a hangnail.
I have a hangnail. I'm sterilizing it. Anyway.
Oh, don't throw it away.
That's finger licking good, isn't it? Yeah.
With an absolutely straight face, he announced he intended to sterilize it. And then, in front of millions of viewers, Dean licked his finger, and that was absolutely hilarious. That was the entire bit.
Here, use my coffee. What the hell,
You know, at home, this desk looks bigger.
It is bigger at home.
Well, we'll ask Joanne if it is bigger at home.
Joanna.
Joanna.
There's an A on the end of that.
Johnny Carson, the most beloved entertainer on television, sat there casually using Dean Martin's own glass of drink as a finger bath while pretending the whole thing was a perfectly reasonable medical procedure.
Normally, nobody stands over there at all.
Oh, I thought they were here because Angie was here.
Yeah. Angie who? Dickinson? No, she's not on tonight.
Just saw her.
No, that was on.
The audience reaction lasted nearly 20 seconds before Carson could compose himself enough to continue.
I didn't know that. You said it the best. Everybody says, I didn't know that, or I didn't know that. But you said it the best. I didn't know that.
I practice a lot.
See how I set you up? I'm a straight man. Oh, I thought I was taller. Go ahead.
Number 4, the Merv Griffin impression.
You know, it's so good to sit down. I walked all the way from them curtains.
Same desk, same Dean Martin, same December 12th, 1975 broadcast. This time, though, instead of leaning on a coffee mug for laughs, he turned his sights toward a fellow late-night personality working on a competing network.
I don't have to take this as right. We got our
Why
own
don't we go over to
special.
Merv's show?
Merv Griffin had his own talk show running at the time. He was widely respected as a host. Dean, working with that loose, semi-tipsy delivery he was famous for, launched into what can only be described as a perfect impression of how Merv conducted his interviews, with the whole premise resting on the idea that Merv asked his guests questions but never actually listened to the answers.
You know that Merv asks you a question and he never listens to you? Did you know that? He'll say, how do you feel? And he'll turn around like that.
Dean acted the whole thing out in real time. Pretending to ask an invisible guest how they were feeling, he pivoted away in mock distraction before the imaginary guest could even answer, swinging towards someone else entirely.
Merv!
He's doing a wonderful theme show tonight. Proctologist of the Stars. That's all of it.
He repeated the move 2 or 3 more times, and with each repetition, the rhythm got tighter and the absurdity got bigger. The framing made it land.
How do you feel, Johnny?
And he turns away, huh?
And he's talking to some... No, that mean it.
Dean performed the whole impression while still inside his loose, late-night character, eyes half closed, glass nearby, body language draped over the desk. The impression itself was funny on its own, but it looked like it was being delivered by someone who had no business doing impressions at all, which made it 10 times sharper.
I don't know about you, but I want to get a seat in the patrol car.
Carson lost it completely. The audience erupted, and by the end of that 2-part appearance, Dean had managed to mock his daytime competitor, lean into his trademark persona, and turn Carson's own coffee mug into a comedy prop, all within the span of a single sitting.
Seems like we brought the little house in off the prairie, didn't we?
Oh, you're terrible if you keep on saying things like that. You still think you have that thing on your head?
Well, we have to take a break here because
I guess, are you going to bleep the laugh, too?
No,
For longtime Carson viewers, the December 1975 appearance still ranks as one of the great Dean Martin nights on television. The bit set up something bigger.
we have to take a break here because the fire department is here to resuscitate
I guess
our
he told you
guy
about
for
this
standards and practices. Just lying on the floor hard as a carp. So as soon as we bring him around, why, I will. You got to come back more often.
3 years later, Dean would come back, and Johnny would finally, on camera, try to get to the bottom of whether the entire drinking persona was even real. Number 5. Johnny tastes Dean's drink and finds the truth.
This is it, huh?
This is it. It's Wednesday, Dean. Yeah.
This is it.
This is about the size of a gala. This doesn't get much more exciting than this usually.
No.
Do you show up?
You and I must be the worst entertainers in the world.
Why's that?
What?
By 1978, Dean Martin had been doing the lovable Lush act on television for almost 2 decades, and the public had become convinced he must drink constantly. His daughter, Deanna Martin, speaking in interviews around the publication of her 2004 memoir, has explained that this assumption never went away.
Is this, now let's dispel this myth once and for all.
What?
About the drinking and all the jokes and so forth.
Strangers would walk up to her and ask how her dad could possibly do so much work when he was always drinking, and her jaw would drop every time because the whole thing was his gimmick.
You know, everybody's made the jokes for years. I've been guilty of making the jokes, and it's, you don't drink that much, do you?
What do you mean?
It's a prop more than anything. You come on.
This ain't no prop.
Oh, I know, juice.
In her own words, he really was that good an actor. By August 9th, 1978, Carson had decided to test it. Looking Dean Martin straight in the eye on national television, the host asked the man directly whether his constant on-stage glass actually held real liquor or something else entirely.
Put juice in there, and everybody says, look at Dean, he's up there, and how can he do a show and drink that way? I've seen you in the MGM, and you sit there and all during you sip this, and it's, I'll tell you.
Dean handed Johnny the glass directly. He never broke his expression for a second, and the way he passed it across the desk made it look like the most ordinary moment of his entire career. What came next had been a closely guarded backstage secret for years.
You ain't gonna...
Johnny took a sip on camera, and the look on his face revealed exactly what Dean's son Richie Martin would later confirm in a memoir, which is that most of the time, the contents of Dean's glass were apple juice. Sometimes the glass held a very weak scotch and soda, but on this particular night, sitting on Carson's desk, it was just juice.
You ain't gonna spoil my
Dean played the moment perfectly. He claimed he drank only moderately, and he admitted he kept a case of apple juice nearby for the act. The honesty buried inside the joke is what made the whole moment feel almost gentle, because Dean was admitting the trick out loud, and yet the trick still worked, because his timing and his persona stayed completely intact.
Good apple juice.
Huh?
That's good apple juice.
I drink moderately.
Yeah.
In fact, I got a case of it.
Case of moderately in the back there.
Later in that same appearance, Dean told a darkly ironic story about an uncle whose lifestyle bordered on superhuman, only to deliver a single-line punchline so deadpan it stopped Johnny mid-laugh. The audience never saw it coming. Dean also worked through a long bit about why he avoided the Beverly Hills party scene.
You're out the beach now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm out to... How'd you do that?
What?
I'm out at the beach.
Out at the beach,
yeah.
You got to get it away from the body when you go by.
Oh, I've had that Beverly Hills stuff. And every time they say good night, you know, I got tired of them stepping on my hand.
By the end of the segment, looking at Johnny with real affection, Dean called him the best entertainer on television.
You not only make the people laugh and entertain them and make them love you, but this is the truth. You are the best entertainer on TV.
After 15 years of watching the act unfold, the truth, apple juice and all, turned out to be the funniest reveal of all. Number 6. Dean Martin arrives a little tuned up. One last time.
You know the difference between a snow tire?
Don't you dare do it. don't you dare. I told a little joke backstage, and it was just one of those kind of inside show business jokes.
Dean Martin's February 22, 1980 appearance serves as the perfect bookend to the entire genre. With an upcoming 2-hour NBC special compiling highlights from his celebrity roasts and a Las Vegas residency on the horizon.
Lonnie
Huh?
Anderson. Not Looney Anderson.
Lonnie?
Lonnie Anderson.
You weren't loony after that one
I was
thing
Looney.
you
You
did?
got a point.
Dean walked onto Johnny Carson's stage, delivering exactly what fans wanted, that same loose, half-tuned-up character that had worked for 2 decades.
You miss that?
No.
I do that occasionally, just to kind of clue myself in.
No, we're going to start doing... Hey!
Yeah.
That hurts my ring.
2 moments from that appearance have endured well past their original air date. Both have lived on as some of the most widely quoted lines in the entire Carson era, and the recordings still circulate today.
Are you going to skate?
Me?
Because I want to catch that show if you are on skates. I don't want to miss that.
Only time I'm around ice is when it's...
That's right.
The first centered on Dean's definition of intoxication, which he attributed correctly to his great friend, the legendary nightclub comedian Joe E. Lewis. The line was not original. According to research by, quote, historian Barry Popick, Lewis had been delivering that exact phrase in nightclubs since at least 1954, and the definition itself is so logically absurd that, once heard, it cannot be unheard.
So he says you're not drunk if you can lay on the floor without holding on. He said that.
Dean offered it up with the most casual shrug. The second moment was even sharper.
I'm gonna become an evangelist.
Are you? I mean, you're going to heal people and?
No. Well, you don't
Cover
know.
yourself.
I believe in God and all that, but I'm gonna be an evangelist.
Uh-huh.
Dean joked that he was thinking about becoming an evangelist, with one rather notable twist. Instead of healing people, he intended to do the exact opposite kind of conversion.
Did you see 60 Minutes about 3 months ago?
Oral Roberts?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Big airplane, 707, and then about 15 little Lear jets. They make a lot of money, boy.
Yes, I do.
They can't send it to God, you know. He ain't even got a zip code.
The way he framed it, claiming that he felt sorry for people who did not drink, flipped the entire concept of religious revival on its head.
You're going to make a swell evangelist. I think people ought to follow you. You're the leader.
Oh, I'm gonna heal more sober people. Yeah, I feel sorry for you people that don't drink.
Why's that?
Well, when you wake up in the morning, that's as good as you're gonna feel all day.
Both moments were vintage Dean. By 1980, he had spent decades perfecting the timing, the lean, the eye line, and the way he could hold the glass without quite drinking from it. On Carson's desk that night, with a national audience tuned in, he was still doing the act as well as he ever had.
You're going to Vegas right after this and work 2 whole days?
2 days.
You know, they asked me to take this over if you quit, which I don't want to. I said I'd take it over only on one condition, if I could work like Johnny works, 1 day a week.
What do you mean 1 day a week? 4 days this week.
4 days?
One.
What very few people watching that February 1980 broadcast realized was that the act would soon become much harder to perform.
4 days. 4 days last week, 4 days the week before that, 4 days next week.
Come on, I didn't have that many girls.
That's the way you pace the shows,
Yeah, two times.
7 years later, in March 1987, Dean's son, Dean Paul Martin Jr., who in 1979 had starred opposite Ally McGraw in the film Players, with the climactic Wimbledon scene actually filmed at center court, passed in a flying incident on a training mission in the San Bernardino Mountains.
What do you watch besides this show?
Well, the Rifleman. I'll be back. Going down to get a lube job in my chair, and I'll be back.
According to Dean's daughter, Deanna, her father never recovered from the loss. He withdrew from public performing entirely, and the man who had perfected the Lovable drunk for 30 years stopped working almost completely. When you watch the 1980 footage today, you are watching the last great Dean Martin Carson appearance of his peak.
Pay you for being here tonight.
I don't want paid.
Really?
I got so much money, it's disgusting. What good is it? $800 for an apple. Boy, you ought to see this apple.
Everything is in order. The drink in his glass is apple juice. The slur in his voice is character. And the comedy on display is some of the cleanest improvisation ever filmed on a late-night stage. Discipline ties all 6 of these moments together. Foster Brooks had not touched a drop in over a decade. Dean Martin was nursing apple juice on his desk. And even Ed McMahon, on the one night he genuinely came back from lunch a little tuned up, played the moment like a complete professional. According to biographer Michael Friedland, Dean Martin had spent years perfecting the use of a glass, or in this case, a mug, as a comedic prop. If Dean ever forgot a line or wanted to extend a laugh, the prop served as his escape route, and the hangnail bit puts that principle into its purest form. Dean did not need to set up the joke or land a punchline at the end because he simply used the desk like a toy. And Carson, who according to Henry Bushkin was no stranger to a desk drink himself, had no choice but to let him run with it. The Tonight Show ran for 30 years under Johnny Carson. Most of these moments were filmed at NBC Studios in Burbank, California, where the show had moved permanently in May of 1972. The band ran like clockwork. Doc Severinsen led on a nightly basis. Tommy Newsom subbed in whenever Doc stepped out, and producer Fred DeCordova kept the booking calendar locked tight. Night after night, Carson welcomed performers like Brooks and Martin to do the one bit that would have flopped in almost any other setting, which was the slow, patient, character-driven art of pretending to be just a little bit gone. If you grew up watching this show, you already know none of these moments would survive in modern late night. The pacing runs too slow, the premise feels too quaint, and the sensibilities are far too gentle for today. The gentleness is the reason. They were made by performers who respected timing more than punchlines, and by a host who knew exactly when to lean back and let the laughter happen on its own. That was the Carson era at its very best. These moments capture exactly what made the show work, and they remain the best examples of the drunk routines ever filmed on a late-night stage.